We've been meeting here so long. Now that you're leaving, oh, it feels wrong. Please stand, don't you cry. Let's just kiss and say goodbye. Many months will pass us by. We're gonna miss you, I can't lie. We've got ties, and so do you. I guess this is something you have to do. It's gonna hurt us, I can't lie. Maybe we'll meet another time. But just come around and let's just kiss and say goodbye. We're gonna miss you, I can't lie. Please stand, don't you cry. Let's just kiss and say goodbye. Love you.
You see the side of him that is beautiful. Dan's a good man. Never would he deceive me any time in my life, one would think. So anybody want to hear the story about the real Dan? I have a secret story I've been waiting for all this time. You guys want to hear it?
Yes!
No, not that, Steve.
So it's about a little bit about this building. It's a little history about the evolution of ELECTRO RENT and my personal evolution also within the company, and how Dan has been so good to me. I'd say that with sincerity. But it didn't start out all that sincere. So I was asked by Mr. Greenberg that, we were living in Santa Monica. We had an office. We had an office in Culver City, and we had 3 cottages, hangars in Burbank before we got this building. So we had locations, people spread out. I mean, you would think this is a huge conglomerate, 5 offices in LA. And so I was asked to go and look for something so we could have a consolidation of all these offices into one place. And I took that role on, and I was really eager. And I found this piece of property right here that we're sitting on. And at that time, there was a company called Sports Connection, which had the property under an option to buy. And the gentleman that ran Sports Connection, Mike Talla, and his partner, which some of you are old enough to remember, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And they were going to build a Sports Connection right in this facility. And they had the option for it. And this was 1985, if I can remember correctly. Dean, are you there? Was it 85?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought. So in 1985, they had the option to December 15th of 1985 to close the deal on this property, because the tax laws was going to change in 1986. The gentleman who owned the property basically wanted to get the long-term capital gain on this property and close it before the new tax law came into effect. So we asked him that would he sell the property to us, and he said no. We asked him, would you do a joint venture with us? We'll take a little corner, okay? You can have the rest of it. We'll do a little corner. He said no. So we kept on pursuing the gentleman that owned this property, and on December, I would say 10th, 11th, I got a call from the gentleman who owned the property. His name was Dr. Bayless, and he says, Kareem cannot come up with the money. He can't close. If you remember the day that Kareem had to continue to play sports and basketball because his manager ripped him off for all his money. So the banks wouldn't loan him any money because all of a sudden Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is broke. His manager absconded with millions of his dollars, and he couldn't close this property. Oh my God, what an opportunity. So I called Dan, and Dan says, just buy it. Don't cost me. Just buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. This is great. This is Christmas time, right? Everybody's getting busy. And I'm supposed to close this property in 2 weeks. And you had to go through all kinds of rigmarole with the city. Is it polluted? Do we have problems with, does the land have oil in it? There's a little gas tank across the street. Could it have leaked? We have problems here. Well, in 2 weeks, we had to get this all solved. So I went to work with our corporate attorney at that time. His name was Harold Easton. And we started working on the acquisition document. And we went to go see Dr. Bayless' attorney to go get the document signed so we could open up escrow and close this thing in 14 days. Well, I happened to hit him at night, at 7 o'clock at night on a Friday. He was having a Christmas party at his office, and I pulled him out of the Christmas party and said, you got to sign this document now. And he's drunk, and he says, I prefer not to sign it while I'm drunk. I said, I got to sign it. And then I found out there's a truth. So I told our attorney, Harold Easton, who, by the way, was also a corporate officer of the company. It's a little shtick that Dan did with him. Anyway, so I told Harold, I'm going to sign this now. And Harold says, you can't sign it. I said, what do you mean I can't sign it? He says, you're not an officer. I said, what do you mean I'm not an officer? I waited all my life to become an officer, a vice president of electric. You're not an officer. I said, what do you mean I'm not an officer? I'm on the annual report. What do you mean I'm not an officer? He says, you're not. Steve, I'm sorry to tell you. Now, I thought I'm an officer of this company. It was honest to God truth. I thought, I'm looking at him, I says, I was made an officer. He said, well, you're not really a real officer. You're not really a real officer either. He said, well, you're not an officer. I said, but I'm on the annual report. He says, well, Dan got you on there, don't worry about it. I said, what do you mean Dan got me on there? Don't worry about it. He says, you're going to have to go get an officer to sign this. I do not want this work. And I'm going to go. He says, why don't you have Dean sign it? I said, Dean, are you kidding me? He's an officer, I'm not an officer. I said, wait, I'm a little confused here. I'm not an officer of electric. He says, right. So I said, okay. I don't remember who signed it. We signed the deal, we closed the escrow. And I asked Dan. I was very puzzled by it. And he said, yeah, I guess you're right. He says, we needed to promote 3 of you. So 2 of us, we had slots for officers, and one we didn't, so we gave it to you. My wife thought I was an officer. My mom thought I was an officer. Can you imagine having to tell her that I'm really not an officer? It's kind of like, it's a little fake. So that's my little secret that I've been hiding since 1985. with my very, very, very respected friend, Dan Greenberg. And I love him to death. So, oh, there's other stories. There's more. I mean, this is just a little sampling. I mean, if I had a drink, we'd really have a good time. There you go. Anyways, what does all retired people get when you have 20 years plus from a company? A watch. And what kind of watch? Gold. Gold. Well, Mr. Greenberg, I'd like to present you a gold watch. I specifically picked it out, and it's really gold. So, be careful where you wear it.
Semis in 100-degree heat. These were black, trucks, and we had to do it by hand. And now, must be 65 years later, I'm leaving. Came to work to spend 3 years with my dad. I had not had a chance to really know him that well. But 3 years just seemed to move along, and then there was this thing going on and that thing going on. But this company has been run differently than a lot of others because I felt personally responsible, not only for the company and its shareholders, but for sure to each and every employee. If you've been here long enough, you'll have had a chance to have spent a moment in time with me, either talking about a problem in my life or a problem in your life. But no matter what it was, this has always been really personal to me. And the fact that so many people in this room today have spent a major part of their life here working at the company.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, and the dreams that you dream of once in a lullaby. Dreams that you dream of, dreams